You twist the key in the front door, and the lock fights back, swollen from a week of cold rain. The porch light flickers like it's rationing electricity, and the wind shoves dry leaves into the welcome mat, an accusation more than a greeting. Inside, the house is quiet, but your phone isn't. Another price improvement alert. Another neighbor's listing quietly vanishing, then reappearing with a lower number, like a bruise spreading under the skin. The mortgage rate you didn't lock in still haunts you, and the one you did feels like a shackle. Outside, the sky hangs low and metallic, the same color as the headlines. Inventory rising, buyers retreating, layoffs rippling, insurance premiums spiking. You bought the American dream in a city everyone swore was safe, hot, unstoppable. Now the dream is unraveling, because in 2026, in some places, you can't sell, and you can't rent. This is Homefront Ledger, and if you want clear, data-driven market breakdowns every week, subscribe now, because the countdown starts here, and it only gets darker. Number 10. Las Vegas, Nevada. You roll in under a bleached desert sky, where the Strip still flashes confidence while side streets feel strangely hushed. Las Vegas used to be the comeback city, proof that a market can crash, then roar back stronger. Now, the sheen is fading, and the numbers are turning concerning. Back in 2022, the market hit a modern peak as pandemic migration and cheap money pushed values to the edge of affordability. The city's appeal was simple: relatively lower costs, non-stop entertainment, and a tide of buyers relocating from pricier coastal metros. In late 2025, the pace changes sharply. Redfin shows a median sale price around $439,000, while days on market stretch to about 73, up from roughly 55 a year earlier. Closed sales hover around the 700s for a month like December, signaling a market that's moving, but moving slower. On Realtor.com, active listings sit near 9,863, up about 21% year over year, and average days on market read near 57, up roughly 18%. The rental side looks softer too. Realtor.com lists median rent around $190.95, while rental inventory expands, hinting that landlords are competing harder than they admit. Source. Higher mortgage rates squeeze first-time buyers, and a widening gap between list and sale prices forces sellers into concessions. As you leave Las Vegas behind, the market doesn't look dead, just crumbling at the edges, and 2026 looks like a grind, not a jackpot. Number 9. Denver, Colorado. You crest the highway with the front range sharp against a pale winter sun, and Denver still feels like the city that always lands on its feet. For years, it was the poster child for outdoor lifestyle, plus high-paying jobs. Now the shift is troubling, and the buyer hesitation is loud. Denver's surge peaked in the 2022 era when remote work and tech expansion collided with limited supply. The city was marketed as a permanent upgrade, mountain access, strong incomes, and a cultural scene that could justify the price tags. By late 2025, the cooling is measurable. Realtor.com data shows price-reduced share around 25.6% in the Denver metro, meaning more than 1 in 4 listings had to blink first. Active listings were up about 14.6% year over year, reflecting a supply build that buyers can finally see. Realtor.com also frames Denver as a balanced market in fall 2025, a major psychological change from the frenzy years when sellers dictated terms and buyers just tried to survive the bidding wars. When price cuts become normal, it signals sellers are hemorrhaging leverage, not just trimming fat. Source mortgage rate pressure is the main vice, but insurance and cost of living creep tighten it further. As you pull away from Denver, the market feels like a rope unraveling strand by strand, not collapsing in one snap, but weakening into 2026. Number 8. Phoenix, Arizona. Heat shimmers off the asphalt, even when the sun is low, and Phoenix still looks like expansion made physical. New roofs, new lanes, new subdivisions. It used to be the easy growth miracle: sun, space, and relative affordability. Now, the warning signs are unmistakable. Phoenix hit its pandemic-era peak in 2022, when investors, relocators, and low rates turned ordinary houses into bidding war trophies. Growth was fueled by migration, construction, and the belief that demand would outpace supply forever. Then, reality bites. Realtor.com reports that in May 2025, 19.1% of Phoenix listings had price cuts, the highest share for any May since at least 2016. That's not a minor adjustment. It's a market teaching sellers a new language. Price cuts persisting month after month indicate buyers are no longer chasing. Combined with broader inventory growth trends, it points to a landscape where sellers compete harder, sit longer, and start negotiating from weakness. When a city built on momentum loses momentum, it doesn't slow gently. It plummets in confidence first, and pricing follows. Source high rates crush affordability, and rapid build-out increases supply sensitivity. As you leave Phoenix behind, the market feels alarming, a desert bloom that's starting to wilt, heading into a harsher 2026. Number 7, Nashville, Tennessee. You drive past neon and brick, past new towers and old music venues, and Nashville still sells the story of unstoppable growth. It was the it city. Culture, jobs, and migration rolled into one. But the math is tightening, and the stress is rising. The peak frenzy centered around 2021-2022, when remote work and corporate relocations boosted demand. Nashville's reputation as a lifestyle city with expanding employers made buyers stretch, convinced they'd be rewarded later. Now the rent side, once the safety net, is fraying. Zillow shows average rent in Nashville hovering around $2,100, while also showing that home values in the Nashville market are down year over year in their latest trend pages. When rent growth slows nationally and renters push back, landlords lose the escape hatch. A house that can't sell is supposed to rent. When rents stall and competition rises, that trapdoor disappears. And when affordability gets squeezed, even good cities feel brutal. Source rates keep buyers frozen, and new supply plus landlord competition pressures cash flow. As you leave Nashville, the market looks more than troubling. It's starting to collapse into slower demand, with 2026 forcing hard choices. Number 6, Boise, Idaho. You arrive with foothills on the horizon and a clean, open sky that once symbolized escape. Boise was the pandemic darling, quiet, safe, undiscovered. It carried a reputation for sanity in an insane market. Now, the shine is wearing off. Boise's surge peaked in summer 2022, when the region's rapid in-migration and limited supply drove prices into shocking territory for Idaho. It was propelled by remote workers, cashing out of bigger metros, and bidding up what used to be modest neighborhoods. Source: the come-down is sharp. Zillow places average home values in Boise around the mid-480,000s range, with only modest year-over-year movement in their 2025-2026 trend views. That matters because Boise's peak narrative depended on relentless appreciation. When appreciation evaporates, investor interest cools, and sellers who bought near the top discover the trap. Sell now, and you crystallize the loss. Hold and your carrying costs chew you alive. The market doesn't need a dramatic crash to ruin households, just a long, flat stretch where time becomes the enemy. Source: higher rates cut off relocation buyers, and a thin job base makes demand fragile. As you leave Boise behind, it feels alarming. A boomtown that's now unraveling in slow motion heading into 2026. If you're finding this data-driven analysis useful, like the video and comment which city surprises you most. Your engagement helps us continue this research. Number 5, Austin, Texas. You pull into Austin under a gray-blue sky that looks like it's holding its breath. This used to be the swagger market, tech money, music energy, and the loud certainty that prices only went one direction. Now, the mood is shifting from confident to outright troubling. Austin's boom crested in the 2022 era, when venture capital, tech hiring, and remote work collided with a surge of newcomers. The city's identity became the next San Francisco, but cheaper, until it wasn't. By December 2025, Redfin shows Austin's median home price around $520,000, down about 2.8% year over year, while homes take roughly 91 days to sell. 91 days isn't a pause. It's a warning siren for a market built on speed. Even worse, that long selling timeline feeds on itself. Buyers sense desperation, negotiate harder, and sellers start cutting to be seen. When days on market stretches into months, the homeowner trap tightens, because carrying costs keep charging interest while your equity bleeds quietly into reductions. Source tech volatility and rate shock are the twin blades here. As you leave Austin behind, the market feels alarming. A city once blazing hot now cooling into a bruising 2026. Number 4. Atlanta, Georgia. You enter Atlanta with towering cranes and sprawling suburbs, a city that has long sold itself as growth you can actually afford. For years, this was where investors went to print returns. Now the signal is alarming. Investor certainty is evaporating. The expansion accelerated through 2021-2022, driven by population growth, corporate presence, and investor appetite for single-family rentals. The play was simple: buy, rent, refinance, repeat, until borrowing costs turned brutal. Redfin reports investors bought around 18% of homes in Atlanta in Q3 2025, with volumes showing stagnation rather than the aggressive accumulation of earlier years. When investor momentum stalls, it removes a whole layer of demand that used to catch the market on the way down. Pair that with higher cancellation rates and affordability strain, and the easy exit strategy becomes a myth. In a city where investor buying helped set the floor starts to feel less like concrete and more like plywood. Source: higher financing costs and softer rent growth pressure returns, while supply competes harder. As you leave Atlanta behind, the market is alarming, the rental safety valve is cracking, and 2026 looks harsher. Number 3. San Francisco, California. Fog curls between buildings like smoke from a slow fire, and San Francisco still looks wealthy until you read the condo charts. This was the ultimate prestige market, the place people assumed could never truly fall. Now the shift is devastating for certain segments. San Francisco's peak story spans 2020-2022, powered by tech wealth and ultra-low rates. But the post-pandemic reality, hybrid work, out-migration, and affordability collapse hit condos especially hard. The data shows the damage. The Fred series for the San Francisco Condo Price Index sits around 274.689 in ACA, 2025, down from 277.469 in July 2025 and 275.684 in AUG 2025, reflecting a weakened trajectory that aligns with the broader sense of demand thinning for urban condos. This is what a prestige market trap looks like. Not a crash headline, but a grinding erosion where sellers can't get 2021 pricing, buyers refuse to overpay, and HOA fees and special assessments turn ownership into a monthly bleed. Source: remote work permanently reshaped demand, and high carrying costs amplify losses. As you leave San Francisco behind, the market feels devastating. A high-status asset class crumbling quietly into 2026. Number 2. Cape Coral, Florida. You cross flat roads under a sky that can turn violent in minutes, and every canal looks like a postcard until you realize how many for sale signs are staring back. Cape Coral was the Florida dream: sunshine, water, rental demand. Now it's brutal. The peak burned hottest in 2022, when low rates, migration, and investor cash turned Florida into a bidding battleground. The story was endless demand: vacationers, retirees, renters, stacked on top of each other. But the foreclosure tide is rising again. Local reporting in early 2026 points to foreclosures climbing in Cape Coral, alongside a national uptick. Broader coverage notes, foreclosure filings rose 14% from 2024 to 2025, and Florida carried the highest annual foreclosure rate nationally in 2025, per widely cited tracking. When foreclosures rise in a market already strained by insurance and taxes, they don't just add supply, they poison sentiment. Sellers cut, buyers wait, and landlords face higher premiums that devour cash flow. Source insurance shocks and storm risk are crushing, and investor demand cools fast. As you leave Cape Coral behind, the market looks devastating. A coastal dream collapsing into a homeowner trap in 2026. Number 1. Tampa, Florida. You arrive with humid air pressing against your skin like a warning, and dark clouds gathering offshore like they're clocking in for overtime. Tampa used to be the smart Florida play. Strong growth, jobs, lifestyle, and a housing market that felt bulletproof. In 2026, it's the most severe trap on this list. Tampa's run peaked around 2022, fueled by migration, investor buying, and a surge of remote workers racing south. Prices climbed fast, and the market absorbed risk the way a sponge absorbs water, quietly, until it can't hold anymore. Now the pressure is brutal. National foreclosure reporting highlights Florida's dominance in 2025 foreclosure rates, and Tampa repeatedly surfaces in discussions of rising filings and stress. When a market combines higher mortgage rates, elevated property taxes, soaring insurance premiums, and a growing share of strained owners, it becomes a cage. You can't sell without taking a hit, and you can't rent without watching costs devour income. The result is not just a downturn. It's a slow, financial suffocation that turns ownership into a monthly emergency. Source insurance and storm exposure are crushing, and affordability has snapped. As you leave Tampa behind, the market isn't just unraveling, it's collapsing, and 2026 looks like a fight for survival. The countdown took you from slowing desert momentum to full-blown coastal distress, and each step tightened the trap. Longer days on market, heavier price cuts, weaker investor demand, and rising default pressure. Across these American dream cities, the theme is the same. Ownership is no longer automatically liquid, and the rent fallback is evaporating. In 2026, the crisis isn't just prices, it's mobility. It's households stuck in place while costs rise and exits shrink. Don't let a city's reputation blind you to the data. Subscribe for weekly market breakdowns and comment which city you think hits the next wave first. Until next time, stay sharp, stay skeptical, and protect your equity.